What if the fake news canceled the world's most beloved heroes? When a tragic attack ends the lives of precious innocents, our most celebrated heroes find themselves blamed and canceled by the media that once glorified them. Now in hiding, will they be able to trust each other long enough to prove their innocence? Well, they better fight as hard as they can, because if they don't, an even bigger tragedy is coming. And this time, it will cost millions of lives. Truth, Justice, American Way, the 64-page full-color graphic novel. Get yours today, only on Indiegogo. Truth, Justice, American Way fans, it's time for Son of Art Contest. Last month we had an amazing art contest with beautiful entries from people all over Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we're telling you now, get your entry in. Draw your favorite Truth, Justice, American Way art. Tag me at GabeLTabe on Instagram. Tune in Thursday, the 21st of April, 4 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to be giving out prizes of first, second, and third place. See you there. Good evening. It's me, your friend, Gabe Altebe. It is April 6th. It is 7:10 here in America's finest city, San Diego, California. I just realized this is the first time I started Double Impact with my great friend, Shanthan Jetty, and I didn't play the Double Impact intro video. I don't know what I'm thinking. I've been very busy all day doing all kinds of stuff. I apologize sincerely, friend. I can't believe I goofed that, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to get it right. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's important for us to be talking comics. Hang on a second. Put my headphones in. Hang on.
Right.
Got my headphones out. I'm unprofessional today, man. I don't know what's
going on. I just played the wrong intros. I just threw an interception on the first play of the game, but we're going to be okay.
That's exactly right, man.
We're going to get the ball back, and then we're going to score, right?
Absolutely, man.
That's the plan, at least.
They're approaching us fast, but we're going to get them with a check hook. That's what it is.
That's
it's happening.
Oh, my God. Who did I see doing the most gorgeous check hook? It was in the last year watching MMA. Oh, my gosh. Someone took that dip step and just put someone to sleep forever. Was it Derek Lewis? I saw someone do it, and it was annihilating.
I've seen so many great fights. What's up, Apex Comics? Jeremy Burtz and all you guys. Anatomy of the Mix. Look at all these fine folks we've got here.
Right. People are coming in. But tonight is a super, super special episode because we're going to be discussing the great film. And I was telling Sean right before the show, a new favorite of mine, Groundhog Day. Absolutely love this. I told him I saw it like 5 or 10 years ago and didn't think much of it. I thought it was very entertaining, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then I rewatched it 3 weeks or a month ago, and it really I'm going to have to admit something to you guys live on the air here, but you got to keep a high opinion of me anyway. It may have given me a little bit of the quiver lip. There may have been some dust in my eyes thinking about the theme of this movie. So, I loved it. Oh, what are you doing?
I got to listen. If things get emotional, you might just see that one tear, drop down from these sunglasses, man. This one tear drop down. I even ordered a new headband for this show, but it's not coming until Saturday, so I've got to save it for next week.
There you go.
Let me say this about Groundhog Day. There are certain movies that every, living American should watch to really get an understanding of what life's about. Two amazing works. One of them is It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
The other one is Groundhog Day.
Right.
They're really great movies. You watch them and you will look at the world differently. You'll get a spring in your step. You'll notice the little things, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. I love this comment here, Anatomy of the Mix. You need to play the movie on a loop for the full effect. That's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Start the movie every morning at 6 a.m. and then just play it on a loop.
It is such a hail, General Piggy. Great to see you. It is such a great movie because more than even just affecting people, it changed the meaning of the words Groundhog Day when put together.
Right.
People saying it's like Groundhog Day. They don't mean when the groundhog comes out. They mean repeating over and over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
And it's incredible.
Yes. And quick comment here. Anatomy of the Mix. Also, what are we talking about? Can I ask Colin questions? You can ask anything you want. We are focusing on the show, but it's your show, guys. If you want to ask questions, we're more than happy to answer them. So,
that's what
I just ask that you don't ask me anything about coloring specifically. No, just kidding.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't ask you. You guys are just not allowed to ask what he's working on, and he showed me right before the show. If you want to see that, I took a screen cap of it. I'll be tweeting it out in about 15 minutes. So
Please
just
do.
stay tuned.
Please do. No, it was
Shelly will kick the door down. Oh, no,
she's like Santa Claus. She's always
everywhere,
watching.
man.
She's always watching.
She's always watching.
Hail Dale Keown did a gorgeous cover for Aaron Lepresti.
Yeah,
and I colored it up today privately. I recorded it, and I'll make a video showing the whole coloring process. But I talked to Dale. He art directed me a little bit, and it was a really fun interview with Dale. I feel like I have a new old friend. That's one thing about CG is I'm meeting a lot of great people like Sean, like Dale, like Aaron, like Gary Martin, all these guys. And I feel like I've known them. I feel like we're all wandering out there in the art business, wandering around. Hello. And we found each other and we're simpatico. So I think it's fantastic to meet dudes.
Found the chat too, man. Found the chat. I mean, I was talking to last night. I had Camel Moon on my show and was making some art with him. And Camel's somebody I've been on like a few streams for a few seconds with him. And it was a very CG thing. He was in the chat. He goes, "Send me the link." I went, "All right." And we're both East Coasters. And we streamed till 5 a.m. together.
Crazy.
And I don't even remember what we were talking about. That is what I love about. I seriously don't at all. I woke up, in an alley. There was blood all over my shirt. No memory of what happened. But Camel and I just talked, and I thought this is exactly what CG is. We've got people who are working the late shift, who are watching the show, talking to us. People who are getting up. People who are coming back from work. Everybody in CG is here for a great time, here for some downtime, because we all work hard, we all play hard. That's how it is.
Right. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think it's amazing how so many of us have this just organic. We're able to mesh together, hang out, talk. We have a lot of the same sensibilities. Oh, TBG Animation is here. They are working on I don't know if they're male or female, on an animation of Truth, Justice, American Way. So I'm excited about that. And there was a direct question here. I gotta look at this. What do you think about the Ezra Miller controversy? I don't know much. I just know that guy gets arrested. I don't know who you're talking about specifically, but I know he seems like a bit of a troublemaker, that young man.
Yeah, so, no interest.
Yeah, I'm not interested in people who get all high on drugs and then get arrested. So not interested in what he's up to. Sorry.
I'll stay off of what happened with me last night then.
Right.
But no.
Right. Oh, my goodness. This is hilarious. You remember this quote from The Simpsons?
Yeah. Work hard and play hard like steel workers.
Right. When he takes him to the alternative lifestyle steel mill.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man.
Simple question here. What software do you use for digital coloring? I use Adobe Photoshop.
There you go.
So, yeah. And I use an iMac is what I'm using. I've been using Macs since 2000. I don't know why people use IBMs. Maybe you do, Sean. I don't know. I find the
Mac, but it's what they put us on, and I'm very much a creature of habit. To me, I've seen some amazing stuff be done with Clip Studio. I know a lot of people are using that to illustrate their stuff, but I'm a Photoshop guy, and I also like to use Adobe Illustrator as well. So,
very cool, very cool. Speaking of coloring, I won't show colors because I want to run it by the boss, Aaron, but I can show this because it's already been shown on stream. So if you want to see a little bit of this in color, I had it this morning on a stream with Dale. But getting to work with Dale Keown is a dream come true. 13-year-old me was walking home from the comic book store to my grandparents' house in the summer of 1992, holding up like a Pit comic book. And I couldn't understand how a person could do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Now to let's see right here. Hold on. Now to sign my name under. Oh, I don't have it on this. I have it on the colored version. I can't show you.
Oh, show man.
I'm not going to show you the colored version yet. I got to run it by the man paying the paycheck.
That's right.
Now to work on this stuff, and for Dale told me on stream this morning that I inspire him. That's amazing. I'm humbled.
Let me say this, man. If people want to know what the difference was between the comics we grew up on and the comics that are coming out for the last, God knows how many years now, is we used to look at comic book art and people like Dale Keown and go, how do they do this? And now we look at comic books and go, how do they do this? It's the difference in how it's enunciated.
It's really insane when you're coloring it and you're getting in close and you're seeing just some subtle things he's doing here with the veins and the vasculature he's doing. It's wow. It's just
Yeah, he should keep pursuing this. I think he could go far.
yeah. I think he has a future in comics. So
and I know this is public knowledge, but we gotta get Pitt off those zip discs, man. If it still exists, it's keeping me up at night, man. Someone's got to have that somewhere.
Thank you, Tobias. Thank you very much. It was good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dale's a very laid back, easy guy to talk to. I really enjoyed that a ton.
Good.
Do you have anything you want to show us of what you're currently doing before we jump into a little bit of Groundhog Day?
Absolutely. I'll show you guys a couple of things.
That face looks fucking amazing. I saw it from a distance behind you.
The
black and white there. What is that?
Yeah. So this is a page right here where I'm showing one of the big villain characters, Amun al-Hazred. And so if you look at this, and for the people who don't know that, it was the last name is based on a Lovecraftian character's name, al-Hazred, which is basically Al has read. He's read everything. It's a play on words. And I've always loved that. And then this is not finished. This is a mostly finished page to show you guys what the interiors are looking like.
Yeah, dude, you texted me that werewolf the other day and it was insane.
Yeah. These pages are sick, man. It's like Frazetta meets Art Nouveau meets, Richard Corbin meets Hammer Horror. It's going to be awesome, dude.
It's awesome what's going on. So, and Nosfero's doing good. Let's see. I want to check on that too, actually.
Yeah, let's take
Hold on. We'll get into the movie. Sorry, I'm doing things a little different today. Movie will come in a minute here. Everyone keep your shirt on or take it off, whatever. I don't care. It's your house. You're home alone.
Yeah, exactly right. If the neighbors complain, tell them it's my lawn. No.
Right. Nosfero is at 351 backers.
That's right.
$22,470. Let's see if we can get a few more backers for Sean tonight. He is one of the greats here. I think he is so skilled at what he's doing. He's such a sincere person. And he walked away from a long career, steady career, teaching art at fine art schools because he wanted to defend this art and make sure the tradition stays alive of fantastic pulp storytelling. So I want you guys to all think about it. The link is in the description for sure.
Yeah, this is the thing, guys. This book is going to be absolutely amazing. It is. I've already shipped 2 Indiegogo campaigns, art books. Those are available as add-ons, but the book is on schedule. It's coming along. It's starting to flow, which is the best part of it. When you get into that groove,
right?
Halfway done. I'm 18 pages into this book, and it's really, and it's getting faster too. And outside of that, the thing is, we're going to get to the trading card stretch goal if we get to 25K. So that is our next big goal, is to get us there. I'm having a great time, guys. I love Comicsgate, love comics. And, like Gabe said, I walked away from, when people see all this stuff that's being put into people's head and all this poisonous kind of stuff going on in the world. I love the Dave Chappelle thing that he said, where he goes, protesting and arriving in limousines is not how it works. I'm the guy that got out and walked.
Right.
And when it comes to this stuff, I'm the guy that got out and walked.
Damn right.
The hit and I know you're the same way. And by the way, I did it not because of what I thought was, things are going to go this way. I feel very fortunate with how things have gone, but I did it because it would have been utterly unprincipled. And I had to look at myself in the mirror every single day. And I was like, not going to be a part of that. Couldn't do it anymore, guys. And I know a lot of you guys are like, we need people making great work. We need people making American culture be as vibrant and great as it is possible for it to be and has been before.
Question for you directly, Mr. Shanth.
Mm-hmm.
All those Copic markers, Shanth, that one behind you. Look behind you, quick.
Oh, yeah, this one right here. This one is acrylic washes on crescent canvas board and ink. So I'm doing a lot of different mixed kind of media. And if I zoom in here, let me put the light on this. That's a little easier.
There you go. The light helped a ton.
Yeah. So this right here is acrylics and ink, and you can really get a sense of what it is that we're doing on this project. It's going to be a breathtaking project. And I'll have this page scanned and up there soon. And we'll go from there. Right. But yeah, Nosfero the Cryptwalker, people. It's what it is.
Oh, okay. Someone asked me a question here. What's your opinion on manga? It's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. I
Yeah.
don't have too much of it. I've only read a few select titles, but it's amazing. And I'm thinking of doing Beef Laws and manga, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
let's see. There was another one here. What did I? Oh, someone asked if you worked on Marvel Zombies, but I think they're thinking of Arthur Suydam because he used similar palettes to what you're using, but a different style, but similar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know. So yeah. So sorry to answer that for you.
No, that's
wasn't-
fine. You're absolutely right. And hey, put yourself on screen too. I was like, I'm sitting here by my lonesome here. But
Sorry, I was reading the chat. And it's funny.
No, it's
when
fine.
someone makes you all big, you get a little self-conscious.
That's right. Kind of lean in. You guys can see the
Right,
reflection in my
right.
glasses.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh wow, that's a very, very kind comment. Thank you both for contributing to the evolution of our society, resuscitating our culture. Well, thank you.
yeah, thanks, guys.
And doing the nightly rounds, wanted to pop in and say hi. Well, hello.
What's up?
Statistical Zero does some great like editorial cartoons and stuff. I've seen a few of them.
Yeah.
A nice comedic bent to some of that stuff. So
absolutely.
good work.
Hail Statistical Zero.
Yeah. So okay, so we got Nosferatu. If anyone is interested in backing it, the link is in the description. And then of course we have the great, the one and only Truth, Justice, American Way. We cracked 51,000 this morning. Thank you guys. We cracked 800 backers. We're cracking all kinds of things. I love it. Well, the only thing we're not doing is crack rock. No, thank you.
That's exactly right. Well, you know, different strokes for different folks. That crack back in the house, I know.
But yeah, the link for this is also in the description. Please back it. What if the fake news canceled the world's most beloved heroes? This is classic superhero action. David Williams, Gary Martin, and myself. And it's a compelling, amazing superhero story, and we're so proud to bring it to you. So I just want to bring those up real quick first, and then we will get to the magic that is. Oh, don't do that. That is a pit draw. No, not pit. Darn it, Gabe. It's not my first day on the computer, I swear. Okay, move that. Okay, move that. Here we are. Groundhog Day. There we are. Hold on. There was a
sorry about that.
One more manga question. Gabe, did you read Fist of the North Star? It's awesome. Never read it, but I saw the movie cartoon and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
I saw that at 14 or 15 and I was like this. Hold on. I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I love the part where he tells the guy over his shoulder, "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." And he walks away, and then the guy starts like pulsating and blobbing, and then the guy explodes.
Fist of the North Star
where a series, a flurry, a combination of punches can make a man then explode a minute later. It's perfection.
That's why we like to make art.
Right.
It is. I mean, Fist of the North Star as an aesthetic visual style in manga basically influenced Action Comics for the better part of several decades as a result. And then you see, you know, anime like, you know, Ninja Scroll and all of that stuff where the faces are proportioned. And it's great stuff, you know. It's great stuff.
So do you want to give the rundown on Groundhog Day? Do you want to give people a synopsis of this great movie? And I'll kind of go along with you with the images. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah. Let me see.
Or I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, here, you give the rundown so I can collect my thoughts.
Okay.
So
Groundhog Day is a great movie. I think it's from like 1993, starring the hilarious Bill Murray. And what is her name? Angie Dickinson, right? Is that her name?
Annie McDowell.
Annie McDowell. Who's Angie Dickinson? That's the lady from like Law and Order or something.
We don't talk to her anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, she's on the list. Annie McDowell. And so he's a weatherman. He gets sent to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania on Groundhog Day to do the, you know, those kind of slice of life stories, a little culture. Does the groundhog see his shadow? Will there be 6 more weeks of winter? And he's a jerk. He's a narcissist. He's too big for the little TV station he works at. He treats people very badly. He's very narcissistic and selfish, very dismissive and rude. And when he goes to this little town with what he calls hicks or, you know, backwards people, he's not nice to them. And he meets them on the street. And this is like an old high school friend of his, Ned Ryerson. And, you know, and his character's name in the movie, Bill Murray, is Phil, just like Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog. In his defense, Ned's he's a little annoying. He's a little intense. So he meets him in the morning on his way to do the news report. And then he runs into a homeless guy. And you'll see why I'm mentioning all this stuff. And he's on his way. And he's grumpy. And he doesn't want to do this news story. And it's beneath him. And he heads out. He ends up stepping in the puddle. I forgot about that. Anyway, he ends up going to watch the ceremony where the people, I don't know if it's the mayor or who the people who do this are, but they bring this groundhog out and it whispers in their ear, right? That's kind of nuts. And it tells them if there's going to be more winter. Anyway, he does this little story, goes about the rest of his day. And when he wakes up the next day, and he's just disgusted working on this stuff. And he's not nice to the cameraman or to Rita. I forgot the cameraman's name. Played by Chris Elliott, though. Always funny. But the next day, he wakes up at 6 a.m., and it all happens again.
Yep.
And it just keeps happening and happening and happening day after day after day. And he's flipping out. I mean, think about what you would do, right? So you're experiencing the same day. The radio alarm clock goes off, the same music. You run into the same weirdo on the street, the same homeless guy, tell him to get lost. You step in the same puddle, and you go to the thing, and he realizes he's stuck like in a supernatural time loop or something. Okay? Yep. So what he does, he becomes very depressed and stuff, but at first he becomes very selfish. He robs a bank. He figures out he can hit on women if he finds out everything about a woman today, then when it repeats, he can talk to her the next day and be all suave and stuff. So he does that to bed some women and some things like that. And he starts just living for himself completely. And he's, he's eating everything he wants. He's stealing money. He's womanizing. He's doing all this stuff. And he realizes it's hell, that trying to chase his own happiness is just a hell of his own making. He hates it. So
there's something better. There's something that I got to throw in there now too. Which is first of all, the cameraman's name is Larry, and I looked that up, so that's not my memory right there. Just to be clear, okay. But I've got to say this is the biggest thing. He learns how to work the system and to game all of the wrong people.
Right.
And when he decides to see, and in his mind, he thinks that life is a game that you can figure out as long as you have all of the right answers. But for some reason, all the statistical information doesn't change who he is inside. And this is the thing about it, too, is that he tries to then court Andie MacDowell. And no amount of manipulation, no amount of setting the scene will change the way that she is able to see who he really is. Which is basically she's going to take more than a day to win, just like life is going to take more than a day to figure out.
Right.
And he realizes he's stuck with himself, and the only thing in that environment that gives him any real meaning wants nothing to do with him by the end of every single day.
Right. So after he chases the money and then the woman he can't attain because he's still too much of a narcissistic jerk, he's just remember the scene where he's eating, there's like 500 pastries on the table,
it's
and he's just
thing.
This is part of that scene. He's just eating frosting off his fingers there.
Yeah.
And he's just lost his mind. But eventually, instead of chasing all the pleasure, he starts to try to kill himself.
Yep.
So he does kill himself every day, and then he keeps waking up at 6 a.m. and has to repeat it. So he can't even die. You know what I'm saying? He drives a car into a quarry and the truck blows up, and his friends identify him.
Right to a very important theme, right? Which is in both It's a Wonderful Life and in Groundhog Day, you see a man driven to the brink, to that moment, and they are, for divine reasons, not allowed to get to the other side. And they are forced to confront life after the lowest low a person can have. And then how do you get back up off of the lowest low? Which I've heard many people say rock bottom is the most solid foundation you could make a stand on. And I thought, wow, that's
beautiful. That's inspiring. Yeah, that is inspiring. So I think what he learns after all his hedonism, womanizing food, he literally robs a bank truck because he experiences a day so much, he can count in his head 1, 2, 3, and he knows when the guard's going to turn around. He just steals the money. He's driving a Cadillac. He's dressed audaciously. Because he realizes he can hack everything, because it's like in a video game when you're trying to beat a level and you have to figure out the pattern. That's what he does. He figures out the patterns and he repeats them every day. But his problem is he's chasing pleasure for happiness. Does that sound like a social problem we might have nowadays? Huh?
Oh, absolutely, man. Right?
Constant chasing of pleasure.
But here, this is the funniest thing about it, right? Is that he is the Walking Dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? He is not experiencing life. He's just not experiencing death, and he can't even die in an interesting way, because this is a big thing a lot of us are dealing with in CG, and I know that Aaron Lopresti is going to be tackling it. It's in Nosferatu. He's like a vampire. Every morning he wakes up, time has no meaning. He can't die, and he can't have the thing he wants the most, which is a person who is pure goodness. And she's not... this is the thing I love about Andie MacDowell. There are many a thing. But this is one particular thing I love about Andie MacDowell in this movie. And from what I've heard, she seems to be a pretty decent person as well in real life. But Andie MacDowell is portraying good, but she's not portrayed as stupid. She is capable of getting angry. She is capable of passing judgment on him. And this is the thing that people don't understand. You know, it's like what is the reason why he is not happy with all that he has? And it's not like he's, you know, digging ditches with Dixie cups somewhere. You know what I mean? The reason why he's miserable is because of his company, which is himself. And that's something.
Right. That's awful. Yeah, and it takes him forever to realize. And I've read theories online that he was there for 10,000 years. And I don't know if the movie makers ever made an official statement, but he was there forever. He learns to play the piano. He learns other languages. He has so much time that he learns so many things. But I think the thing he finally learns, and remember I told you there was that old man in the beginning. When his day would repeat, he would run into Ned, he would run into the homeless guy, and he would blow them off or be a jerk to him or whatever. But in the end, what he realizes is chasing his own happiness, his own hedonism is what's making him miserable. And he goes out of his way to be good to people. He takes the old man out to get some dinner. He catches this kid that keeps falling out of a tree every day. And it's funny, when he catches the kid, he's all, you never say thank you, you know, because he's caught the kid, you know, a million times in a row. And there's a couple, their wedding gets called off, but he fixes it for them and they get married. There's a guy like dying in a restaurant, like choking to death, and he does the Heimlich. He spends his days near the end of it just loving everyone else. Instead of just trying to love himself, he realizes, no, love needs to go outward, not just eating food and womanizing and money, me, like fucking Pac-Man or Hungry Hippos, just taking what you want. He realizes, no. I should be a fire hose of love. Everywhere I can do some good, I should do it. There's a verse in the Bible, I think it's a psalm, I don't know, it could be a proverb. And it says, if you have the ability to do good for people and you don't, that's a sin. You know what I mean? So you can't do everything about everything, right? You're just human.
Well,
but there are things you can do something about.
That, you know? On this day where he has killed himself more times than he can count, and certainly that we see, he realizes that this homeless man that he then suddenly realizes he should take an interest in because he's doing such a good job improving lives, it is the day that man dies, no matter what he does. Yeah, right there. And he says something really emotional in there that always gets me the way he says it, because this is a stranger to him, although he does know him from several days. He grabs him and he's giving him, you know, mouth to mouth as he's passed away, and he says, come on, Pop. Right. And the thing is, and this is it's beautiful because the director was a beautiful human being. He looks up after he dies and is like, why is this happening? Like, he actually breaks his focus on the terrestrial world, if I recall correctly.
Right.
And he gazes upward. And it's the way in which, even though his life is unlimited, he is forced to confront his own mortality and the mortality of those around him. And all you can really do, this is why we're streaming, guys. This is why we're here with you guys right now, why it's so great to be here with you guys. And what it means to us that you guys show up is that in this life, there is nothing more precious than time. You can get more money, you can lose money, but you can never gain more time. It's not possible. Right. And so when we choose to be here together and have a great time in this great fellowship that we have here, that's what the importance is. And he finally learns that he's in this moment in time with all of these people, and it's valuable. It's precious.
Right. Yeah, it's like we're always looking to the future. I'm going to do this project. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make this money. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to be here in the present. You know what I mean? And that's what that comes down to is gratitude. Like that everything is a miracle. The fact that you have air to breathe, that you have clothes. I know it sounds silly, but when you really, really stop and think about the miracle that is all the abundance you have and all the opportunity, the good outweighs the bad so tremendously. It's insane. We all get cranky, mad, depressed, whatever, but you got to shake that off and just remember that God's taking care of everything. You know what I mean? The abundance we have is insane, and it's humbling to think about. But it is a beautiful moment, and he spends a few of his days and days in a row trying to save this old man's life. And no matter what, I think he takes him to the hospital. He takes him to eat. Every day he's trying to save this old man, and he can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think it is such a beautiful moment in the movie. So finally, he doesn't reach perfection, but he finally realizes he needs to be a loving, kind, generous person. And he doesn't give to get. He gives because it's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And
My favorite part in that whole movie is where the little old lady's car gets a flat tire, and he's like, I had the tire, I had the jack. You guys just sit back. I'm going to take care of this, because it's the kind of thing I love to do for people. I love to help people out. And I say this too, is that this is the big thing. You said something really brilliant I want to underline there. You said it's not about perfection, and I thought you're right. It's not about the idea of perfection, but it's about his perfection. It's about him perfecting himself and being the perfect version of him, just like she is the perfect version of her. So they can meet at that intersection when they're ready to meet. It becomes that day.
Right. So yeah, after he's loving for whatever period of time in the end of the movie, he wakes up at 6 a.m. and it isn't the same day. And she's there with him. Because every night that he would have her over to his place or whatever, she would disappear and be gone by the time he woke up, through the magic of whatever the magic is in the movie. They don't explain it. It doesn't matter. But they end up getting their happy ending. And the best thing about it is he reaches maybe, or close to his potential as a human being capable of love. Love is the most important thing you can do. There's literally nothing more important, and love isn't, I love you. Love is actions. Talk is cheap. You can say anything, right? I could tell you that I'm the king of England. I don't suddenly become the king when I say it. So love is about what you do. You know what I mean? And it's about sacrifice. Are you willing to die for your loved ones? Are you willing to sacrifice your time, your money, your effort, your, whatever? That's what loving is. It's boiled down in my religion, Christianity, but every religion basically says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Or also, I've heard it another way I love, don't do anything to anyone you wouldn't want done to yourself. And I think the movie is beautiful when it comes to that.
It is. It's beautiful. And someone had written in the chat, about the falling out between Bill Murray and Harold Ramis. And one of the most beautiful stories, I think, that I've heard in terms of the resolution of that was that when Bill Murray found out that Harold Ramis was dying, he got on a plane and flew to his town, got in rented a car, or I think got a cab or limo, and said, take me to the police department. And he went to the police department in the town. He said, I'm Bill Murray, and I need to find my friend Harold Ramis. Take me to him. And they took him to Harold Ramis's house, and they spent some time together patching things up and squashing the beef. Just beautiful.
I never knew the details, but that is beautiful that he would do that for an old friend, because I heard, and you never know what you're hearing, and Nana commented on it right here, that they didn't speak again after they made this movie. I guess creative differences, or who knows? The news
he was going through, I think, a divorce, and there was all this. I think that Bill is one of those people who is he's a unique character. He's got a lot of different facets to him, and he doesn't like celebrity, but he takes his craft really seriously.
Yes.
And I think Harold does, but in a different way. He's much more of a life-affirming guy. I mean, Harold is the family man and all that other stuff. And Bill is kind of, they called him during this movie, I think, the Murricane. So, yeah. And you're right. I think that Bill Murray, what Bill Murray didn't like about it is he wanted it to be a darker film. And I think that I did hear that he likes the film. He in hindsight with how it came out, but I do think that he's they're guys who work together. I mean, they got their start, I think it was on SCTV or whatever it was, or way back when, when they started their careers in Canada. And I just think they knew each other for a long time, and sometimes people hit a fork in the road, and it is what it is. But it's nice that they patched things up, because that really did bother me when I heard that Harold Ramis was dying, and I was like going, please, I hope these guys squash it,
Yeah, and we all, and none of us, need to get too deeply personal here, but there will be a last time you see everyone.
Sure.
That is so important to me. Everyone, there will be a last time you see them and they die, or they see you and then you're gone. He didn't die, so I'll just spoil that here so you guys don't get upset. But we have Grandpa Rocky in my family. I'm not blood related to him, but he's a Korean War veteran. He's 92 years old, and he's a Navy man. San Diego, where we live, big Navy town. My father-in-law's Navy. All kinds of men I know are Navy retired.
Yeah.
So on the Army-Navy football game, which is like my favorite game of the year, I got together. It was my idea. Grandpa Rocky, 92, Grandpa Wiley, 70, all these guys, Navy vets. We watched the Army-Navy football game with these old Navy guys, and you just see them going crazy. And Navy won the game on the last play. It was a great game. And Grandpa Wiley, he's a widower. His wife died, and he loved all the guys there, and it was men only. When I throw big UFC or football parties, I tell the women in our family, you're not allowed. Go shopping. Get out of here. Men, I'm not kidding, Sean. It's men only. I'm doing UFC this Saturday. My wife, get out of the house. Go shopping. Men only. And that camaraderie for Grandpa Rocky at 92, he loved it so much. He said, hey, guys, this was great. Let's watch the Super Bowl together in February. Yeah. We didn't get to watch the Super Bowl. He was in the hospital with COVID. He almost died.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't die. He's okay now, but he lost a ton of weight and it beat him up, but he's okay now. But I thought, dang, will I get to watch Army-Navy with him next year? Well, you know what
But you didn't miss that moment, though. That's the whole thing. It's like the idea of future moments is never assured. And maybe this is something that I forget exactly who said this to me or where it happened or what the moment was when I made the decision. I said, I'm leaving my career and I'm going, yes, absolutely. I don't have a hat on, but I'm tipping my bandana. But this is the thing. I remember thinking how many opportunities to do the right thing that ties into so many facets of your life come along in life. And are you going to look back and and feel regret over showing cowardice in the face of an opportunity to go out there and have that adventure of a lifetime doing the right thing? And I've always worked to make that choice. That's more important to me than any other stuff on the other side of it. And movies like this are and It's a Wonderful Life are the movies I look to whenever I'm feeling like I need that optimism. I need that sense of why I'm doing it.
Right.
These movies and the entertainment that we're making here in CG, and that's what Nosferatu is about, is there's beauty in life. There's creativity. It could be the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. I know we both love that. It could be Pirates of the Caribbean. It could be Truth, Justice, and the American Way. It could be, Terry Hatcher and Lois and Clark. It could be many things. Listen, I'm not here to judge. But it could be Andy McDowell as feminine with a capital F, feminine embodiment in this movie.
Right.
With the way that when he says to her, at one point he makes an ice sculpture of her and he goes, I know your face so well, I could have carved this with my eyes closed.
Right.
And that is a woman worth repeating the same day over and over and over again till you get it right. That is the reward that drives us. That is the person that drives us.
Yeah.
And I live for that.
Yeah. And he does, guys. Something blowing smoke. That liberty that is strategically coming up the derriere of this gorgeous women to keep it PG-13. That is based on the Liberty Films logo from It's a Wonderful Life.
That's right. One of my heroes.
Yeah. And it is absolutely probably a favorite movie of mine. I don't know if it's my favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life, but it might be. I love it so much. I watch that every Christmas, and that was one of the few movies I was allowed to watch growing up. We watch that thing all the time, and it's the same story basically, told in a different way, but it's basically the same story about George Bailey. And we should review that on here at the holidays. We'll wait for the holidays.
Should. Yeah, when holidays roll around.
My parents are 68 and 73, and I'm keenly aware of it. Talking about the Grandpa Rocky story and all that stuff, and I call him a lot now. I called him multiple times a week. I called my dad the other day just to say hello yesterday because he was going on a trip. And I said, hey, I want to call you before you took off. And to me, it's like that thing with Grandpa Rocky, the Army-Navy football game, and then missing the Super Bowl. That shook me, man.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, there'll be a last time. And you don't want to live a grim life where you're scared of people dying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying be in the damn moment and make it beautiful. Make it everything it can be that you can. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is appreciate it. Appreciate it. Understand that these moments, they're going and they just go faster. I'm 43. I can't believe that. I still feel like a kid in some ways,
Yes.
So
yeah, I do too. I mean, it's amazing stuff. And in terms of how time works, in terms of how we all work. And it's an amazing world. and I love it so much, and
Right.
it's craziness, it's craziness. And I will say this, speaking of making the moments count and speaking about what we do here and why this is such a great, a great place to be. We've got Nana 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 in the chat, who a couple of weeks ago, his daughter got another grandson, was blessed with another grandson from, I think, his youngest, not positive. So if everybody in the chat could give a congratulations out, but we get to know you guys.
Congrats.
You share these moments with us in the chat, how things are going on in your life, and we're excited for it. And so we love to celebrate each other's, milestones and celebrate all the good stuff happening. It's important.
Absolutely.
It's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it is great. I think it's very touching to see the people open up to you on stream. I want you guys, when you're done with this, to check out my interview with Dale Killen. We went 2 hours. We spoke like old friends. I got the fanboy out on him.
Yeah,
but
right.
I told him when the cameras were off, I don't think you'll see this if you watch it. I think the cameras were off. I told him, man, you really inspire me. You know that? And he told me, now I'm 13 when I fall in love with Dale Killen, Pitt, and the Hulk and all that, right? So here I am telling him that he inspires me, and he tells me, man, your colors really inspire me. And then he covers his mouth because he realized like how intimate that was. But I totally appreciate it. I'm like, no, man, it's humbling. That's insane for him to tell me that. So I love the connection that we can do here. It just didn't exist, 15 years ago. David Williams was telling me when he was a boy growing up in Los Angeles, there's Golden Apple Comics. I think it's on Melrose.
Yep.
It's a famous comic book store. Paul Smith, the old Fantastic X-Men artist from the 80s, he called that comic book store and did an interview that they recorded on a cassette tape, like on the answering machine. And David said they told all the customers, we're going to have a Paul Smith interview. You can come and listen to the tape. So David said the store was small back then. I don't know how big it is now. You could only fit like 25 legally, but they would cram 50 people in. And there was a line of boys down the street waiting in line to wait their turn to listen to this Paul Smith interview on the phone, just talking about what he was doing on X-Men. And, they would let in like 30, 40, 50 kids, and then they'd leave. They'd let in more, and they would just keep playing the tape. And this is what I'm talking about, being grateful. We're so lucky here that I can just, click on a comment, and Cranberry Langers can congratulate Nana on their granddaughter. Here we are. We're not waiting in line to listen to a tape. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think I think this is the thing that I always say about this stuff, with art and with everything. When we watch these movies that, that connect us all, as human beings.
Right.
It starts out with me seeing, Gabe's a Van Damme fan and me going, oh my gosh, those movies mean something to me too. And then you start sharing more and more. And that is the building block of friendship, the building blocks bit by bit by bit, getting to know people.
I switched it for you. I took Seagal down and put him up just for you.
There you go. And,
and look, hold on.
Yep. Boom.
Yeah, I got it on the shirt right there.
That's right.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but what's so funny about that is that it's you were talking about this, and I was just laughing when I saw that comment. Man zone. For those things, and I really do think I was talking to my wife about this, and I go, because I used to do stuff like that in college. I'd say, all right, we're having a guys' night, and then the girls were funny in retaliation. They're like, we're having a girls' night, and I was like, oh, just doing it because we're having a guys' night, so they go off and do their thing. And she goes, she was saying to me, she's like, why do you guys have to do a guys' night? And I go, because you guys find it so fascinating. And she laughed, and I go, but do you really want to be with, this is the thing that's beautiful. When we talk about this expression that you don't hear as much anymore, which was the interplay of the sexes,
right?
That is the saddest thing in life that people miss out on. That is so unfortunate today, because they're so busy making everything so clinical and so everything's a diagnosis, that you miss out on things like holding hands with a girl for the first time when you're in middle school. You know what I mean? And those are the beautiful things, the first time that, when he's with her and they have a genuine connection where they're just sitting up all night, and he knows that's the worst. When he jumps off buildings, when he gets thrown in jail, when all those other things happen, the worst morning after ever, but the morning after where he wakes up with clarity for the first time, is when he spends that great day with her, when he's told her the secret, and he wakes up and it's the same day again, and she doesn't know any of it.
Right.
but
Oh,
she's still giving him some guidance. That was the first time I really felt at that time. It was funny up until then. It was a little bit tragic and insane. But then when that happened, you really felt for the guy because he realized that he would everything he is a mask covering up who he really is on the inside, that sort of that core person that he is. And he realizes finally that he needs to reveal to her what it is, that thing that he always wants people to not know about him. And then the next day he realizes she's forgotten it. She doesn't know, and he wishes she could.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it's like I feel like the idea for the movie, I'm guessing here, I have no idea, was like the writer thing. What if you had one day to live? What would you do to cherish it? And then maybe that morphed into what if you had one day to live, but you could get it right over and over. You could take
Mhm.
a stab at it. I don't know if that's how he came up with it, but it's a beautiful idea about gratitude and then about learning to love that that's the most important thing to do.
Yeah.
Again, I'm Christian. You don't have to be. That's okay. But it says, if you love your neighbor as yourself, you've fulfilled all my law. That's what Christ says. And
Mhm.
I think the message in this movie is amazing. And for whatever reason, I didn't catch it the first time. I just thought that was a fun
Mhm.
movie, and I moved on. And I
Yeah.
watched it again, and then maybe it's because I'm 10 years older or whatever. But I think about this stuff all the time, guys. I really do.
Yeah.
I love this comment here. Haven't been with a woman since '08. Best move he ever made. All right. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, the trick, yeah, I always say this. The trick is yeah, I remember telling somebody like, I got to a point where I didn't have any interest in girls. I was interested in women. And
Right.
then I had a point in my life where I was no longer interested in women, but I was interested in finding a lady.
Ooh.
And that's the thing for me that is really ultimately what it's about, because that's the thing that I find so funny about this is that and you see this, Bill Murray in this movie has his choice of any like shallow relationship he wants to have once he figures out all these different women. So he can
Mm,
have anyone but her. And this
right.
speaks to the biggest disservice we do to people, which is the idea that, the fact that you like women means that any woman will do,
No.
any guy will do, which is not the case. And the weirdest thing about it that this movie shows us that I think is brilliant is the fact that you have to make yourself into the person that you can be in order to attain the woman that is going to bring out, or the guy, depending on who's going to bring out the best in you. And in Andy
Mhm.
McDowell's case, she is ready for the guy, and Bill Murray ain't him at the start of
Right.
that flick. He is
Right.
capable of being him. And the great misery is, if you think about it, is that if those two are meant to be together and you believe it, her life is being squandered as well as his by him not rising to that period of excellence. And she is not somebody who is going to, as she is established in this movie, she is not somebody who's going to betray him. She's not somebody who is going to be cruel or whatever.
Right.
And but he's got to understand how to be good to her, and that's an interesting thing.
Right. No, man, you really got me thinking there about that she's the right woman for him to reach the potential. And that really makes me think about the responsibility of being a father, of being a husband. And I,
Yeah.
I have this strange concept. I'll try to verbalize it, but it's like my children are my children, quite literally. But in
Yeah.
like a spiritual sense, they're just other human beings. They're my equal in that way. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, God said, okay, person A, that's me. Your job is to help these other people that are just like you, help them get off the ground. And when you think
Mhm.
about the responsibility there, it's like, how in the world am I supposed to be effective if I don't square myself away? How can I be
Yeah.
effective for them? So I think working on oneself constantly, whether it's exercise and diet and spirituality and all that, that is an act of love, focusing on your own self improvement, not for your own glory, not for your own pleasure, but to make sure that I am what I can be for my wife and my children, then to my larger community. I
Yeah.
think that is a very important thing. You only live in your own head. So there is a focus on yourself aspect to life. But instead of focusing on your own pleasure, focus on, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing to love people at this
Yeah.
moment? You know what I mean? So be a father. Any of you out there, become a father, a mother. It'll make you want to diet better and exercise. You know what I mean? It'll make you want to perform better because you don't want to let these people down. They
Yeah.
You know, they didn't ask to be your children. You know what I mean? She didn't ask to be your wife. You asked her. You know, and
Yeah.
they need
Well,
you to be effective.
it's a very interesting thing because I got yeah, you go ahead and read this one.
Okay. I was
Oh,
going to hold off, but makes
no.
Cranberry Langer says makes him see how much time he's lost. You live the same life as Bill Murray, the same life with variations every day, then you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so make the most of it, and making the most of it is loving people, and
Yeah.
loving people means taking care of yourself to be just improve yourself so you can be a better tool for everyone. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's funny too because it's my wife got an email from a fellow teacher at the school that
Hmm.
she works at, and it was from another teacher who I guess had just had knee surgery, and she was slowly limping to the door and carrying her bags. And she said, "I just want to tell you that your son waited by the doors for me and held all the doors open for me coming
Wow.
in because he saw me having trouble with my stuff." And she goes, "I just want to tell you, you must have done something right with that young man." And I thought to myself, well, it's because he's afraid. No, no, I said no. But I thought to myself, raising men, raising a gentleman in the truest sense of the word, and we have our
Right.
funny whatever things, but I mean someone who is participating in the real community they live in, like physically live in, not the idea of community, but the real community they live in, that is contributing to their neighbors, taking care of the people around them, being positive, trying to help out when they can, is a very inspiring thing, and it's a noble thing to be. And the same thing goes with people, with women. When you see a woman who is a bringer of life and a bringer of beauty and a bringer of grace into this world, and not a disgrace to the world, but a grace to this world,
Right.
it's a powerful thing. And we're not talking about, as artists, obviously we pick what kind of artwork we want to make, and I'm certainly a big free speech advocate. I want people to be able to make the work whatever work they want to make, but it doesn't exclude the freedom doesn't exclude the ability to make a film like Groundhog Day, or to
Right.
make something that is noble and beautiful. It's not always about how far you can push things. Sometimes it's about how high you can elevate things. And I
Right.
think we do well to understand that
Right.
there's a lot that can happen that can
Yeah.
affect people.
I talked to my daughter. She's a stand-up comedian. She's hosting now, like at 2 clubs, I think, and her career is just light speed. Her stand-up comedy
Mhm.
career. And I told her years ago that art is holy, and I don't
Mhm.
mean that in a pretentious way. I mean you better be careful making art,
Mhm.
because it's again, this is about gratitude to God. Like, we're lucky we can make art and be creative. What if the
Yeah.
way we were designed as beings, we just couldn't do it? Like, you
Mhm.
you just see other animals, they can't do it. Like, it's just not a thing. What if it just wasn't a thing with us? What if we couldn't communicate this way and share beautiful ideas and persuasion and inspiration, and to use art for evil, to
Mhm.
use art to bring people down, to use art to divide people, to use art to defame people? No, that's why Shanth left the university. That's why I left DC Comics. You're not going to use this talent in me that God gave me to make evil, to
Mhm.
diminish people's lives. I want people talking about my comics the way I'm talking about this movie. That when they read
Yeah.
my books and looked at them, and they watched the cartoon based on my comic, that they were inspired. They were
Mhm.
lifted up. They realized they should call their parents. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
realized they shouldn't work late all week. Maybe they should go be with their wife and have dinner with their kids. I want my work to lift people up. I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to be ugly. And you told me that's what they were telling you at the college, that you had
Yeah.
to silence white voices or whatever
Well, the
racist
easiest
garbage they
thing
were
about
telling
that
you.
is easiest thing about that is, and this ties into the whole gentleman and being a man sort of thing, is that when you are like, I myself am, like you, many different. I'm 100% American, many different ethnicities, you
Right.
know. And I always say this is that, but when your wife is white and you go into an environment and you hear people insulting the race of the mother of your children,
Yeah.
and your father-in-law, who was my father-in-law was very dear to me. He was a very loving and kind man. All I can think of, and it's not a long thought process, is what would they do if they were in my shoes? They wouldn't stand for it. And it doesn't, now they'll never be put in a situation, and this is the truth in this day and age we're living in, where people are insulting me publicly in an institution for my race. I found myself in a very unique situation in history where this was going on in this weird little, indoctrinating cult. And I've heard my entire life that these things can happen and what the right people do. My movies taught me that. My stories taught me that, that I grew up with, the stories of the Western canon. And it was like I suddenly had that realization. I'm in that moment now where it's nut up or shut up time.
Right.
That's it. And as a wise friend of mine once said, anything, if you're not coaching it, you're allowing it.
Right. Your handsome Arab Mexican friend told you that.
That's right. It's not just you, Gabe. I've got others. No,
you're either coaching it or allowing it.
But and I saw someone in the chat was commenting that the name Al Hazred was Yemeni, and I said there's only one Yemeni that matters to me, and that is Prince Nassim Hamed. That's the way it is. Yeah,
I want to read a series of 3 comments here. It's a pretty long comment by Don't want to humble brag, but I have made sure my children have things figured out and life is their plaything. I believe I have been successful. The brag part is one day I was out with my 16-year-old. We saw some guy out panhandling. It happens all the time, but he struck me as a good dude in a hard time. After we had lunch, I ordered another lunch and gave it to him. My 16-year-old was shocked, and that surprised me. She asked me why, and I said he had a good, I think he means aura, and he needed it. She said, I only take care of family. I told her I do. I just don't often tell you. So, she said, okay. She said that he, no, only takes care of family. He said, I do. But just, okay, I get it. So that was unusual to her, but you do it. You just don't tell her about it. So she's 19 now, and she will never forget that. That's a great story, man. Yeah, that is the thing. When I see homeless people on the street, I get mad at the government because I feel like I'm watching a building burn, and I'm like, I don't have a fire truck, guys. What am I supposed to do about a burning inferno building? I have a garden hose. I see homeless people like, okay, what? I'm going to bring all of them to my house to live here? How am I supposed to solve that? I pay my taxes. Quit letting these people live like animals on the street. It's sorry. See, I'm getting mad. Because my brother worked at the homeless shelters. My brother's a therapist. We have people in my family, schizophrenic, mentally ill. And I know how the people end up on the street because the society is just like, they're crazy, so they're garbage. And they just let them go. They're mentally ill. Let them go. And when I walk by homeless and stuff, it's infuriating. I just think about the government letting a building burn. I'm like, what are we supposed to do? Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's the way it's the way that things work for us sometimes. And it's funny, playing off of and I just love the name that I have to say, but playing off of what Nana said. I was at a grocery store. I was at the Stop and Shop with my daughter, and we checked out. We were leaving. There was a woman at the self-checkout, and she was buying a potted plant, and it was like maybe midnight. She was buying a potted plant, and she had a couple of other things with her, there. And she's like, oh my God, I left my wallet at home.
Right.
And she was just panicked, and she got her cell phone out. She was trying to call her kids. She's like, my kids are some in the store. Why won't they pick up their phone? I don't have my wallet, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept looking over there, and you know how it is.
Right.
You know how we are.
You got to distract the cashier so she could shoplift.
You got to do, So I went over and I stole everything that she had. No, and I told her, I've got your wallet, and I peeled out of the parking lot. No, I walked over to her, and I said, how much is this stuff? And she said, I don't know. It doesn't even matter. Here, I'm going to pay for it. And she looked at me like I was crazy. She said, what? And it was funny because I approached her. I said, hi, hey, what's going on? And all of a sudden, this woman who worked the Stop Shop came running over like maybe she was worried I was about to, I don't know, like mug this woman or something.
No,
my daughter's standing there like, why are these people talking? And I said, I've got this. Don't worry about this. I've got this, Right. And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And so I put my card in. I paid for her groceries. And she's like, you have to give me your address so I can give you this money. I said, nope. I was like, you know what it is. Pay it forward. I said, it's not about, this is about the world. This isn't about individuals. This is about what you do. And I remember turning around and seeing my daughter, and my daughter is like a lot of, young ladies. She's not going to be too quick to let dad know he's been cool, but you could just tell she was beaming, and had this little smirk on her face of what you did. And I want her to understand and look for the kind of men who do those things. I
Oh
want her
my
to look
gosh.
for people who are good, and I want her to understand that it wasn't just an act. That is a code you live by.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about having a choice. It's about seeing. You can call whatever we have in our stories. My story is big on having a damsel in distress, right? And it's
Yeah.
when you see a damsel in distress, you're supposed to do something about it. Now, this is very different than when you see somebody who is manipulative and pretending to be in constant distress and
Right.
is trying to manipulate people by acting wounded all the time. And then the viciousness comes out. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about when you see a person. When I saw that plant, I remember the first thought that went through my head is, if you've ever done a late night grocery store run to buy a plant because someone in your family is suddenly in the hospital
Yeah.
and you're going to buy a plant. And I remember thinking, I bet you something's just happened. And that's why she's scatterbrained. And you remember, when you can't find your keys? I remember my wife had to go to the emergency room once, and I was at work. I never do this. Only that woman can bring this out of me. I couldn't find my keys. I was like, they were right there, but I was like throwing stuff in the
Right.
office
Right.
because I was 90 miles away. And I'd go, I've got to do this. Hey, what's up, Angela Curry? It's great to see you.
Oh,
And I look at this stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
And it matters to your kids when they see how you act
Right.
and how you
Right.
treat people. And it matters to when you see, and I don't want to be negative either, but sometimes, you gotta say something, and it's not about calling out things. But what people don't understand is we can laugh, we can make fun of people, we can do all those kinds of things. They're part of the human experience. It's not always the better angels of our nature, but sometimes we have to stand up to people. But when you see people who are not only eroding the character of these popular culture, but these Western canon icons, but then are also behaving in such a disgraceful way towards their fans and towards people. It's not a bad day. It's a bad habit. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
It is. I think that there's so much more that we can do and it's so much easier for us to win over an audience just by being an example of what it's supposed to be. Because whether you've been told this is what people are supposed to be like or not,
Right.
you know a noble person when you see them. You know somebody who is doing their best. It's not about perfection. Bill
Right.
Murray is not perfect by the end of this movie.
Nope.
Bill Murray is still as witty and wry and flawed and silly as he could possibly be. That's why they have that great line. Let's move here. And then he goes, we'll rent to start. Like, it's that part of him where he's kind of like, he's still him.
It's still a little too small town for him. And I think you're right. It's not about perfection. It's about the striving. My whole background, the biggest influence on me as a kid was football, and all that. And that's all about failure. Football is constant failure. You get smashed, you get hurt, they score a touchdown, blah, blah, blah. But it's like what does Rocky say? It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get knocked down and get back up. You know what I mean? Yep. And it isn't about perfection. There's that other saying. We're getting into all these things. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right?
Absolutely
it's about the striving. I think I've argued with people like a lot in my life, and I've convinced most of my inner circle. I want you to listen to me very closely here because I mean this sincerely.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as failure. People think when you try something and it doesn't work, you failed. Oh, no. There is only one exception. Failure is choosing to quit. I always take offense when I hear on the news that so-and-so lost their battle of cancer. Excuse my language. Bullshit. They fought to the end and died. That's not failure. They didn't lose anything. It's noble to die in battle if you're fighting for the right things. What are we talking about? Failure is being a coward and quitting. That's the only failure, and that's a choice. But if someone fails because they start a business or they get a divorce or whatever, but they tried, they're not a failure. That's ridiculous. And I think Bill Murray in this, it's not about perfect. It's about just trying. That's all that matters. Just keep trying. You learn to enjoy the taste of blood in your mouth when you're fighting. You know what I mean? I thank God I found football in high school because it teaches you. So it's a simulation for terror and fear. It's not real. It doesn't matter. It's a silly game. It's a simulation for the adult world when there are real consequences, when there are real stakes. And it's a great way to teach young men, you can get blasted in the face and you're going to be okay. As long as you keep being brave, you're going to be okay. So I just love stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the late, great Norm Macdonald had my favorite quote about cancer and that expression. He goes, when people say someone lost a battle with cancer, that's kind of inaccurate. Last time I checked, when you die and you take the cancer with you, they call that a draw.
I almost spit my water.
And I thought, that is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
I fought cancer to a draw. That is
Right.
the way it's got to be. It didn't win. That's
Right.
how it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, again, I'll say this for the third time. I saw this movie and it just went over my head. Like, it was fun. And I watched it again a month ago or whatever. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The life affirming message in this movie was just, I don't know. It was just something else.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had it as a suggestion. I don't know who came up with it, but it's fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think you did. I think you had recently watched it and you brought it up, and we were talking about, something, and it's the thing that is the one of the characters in this that I have to say that I love also because the actor in the bonus features really endears himself to us with what he says about this movie is the character of Ned Ryerson, who we've got to love, Ned Ryerson, right?
Stephen Tobolowsky, one of the great character actors.
Yeah. One of the geniuses, right? And the thing about him is, hey, what's up, Admiral Wackass? Great to see you, man.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's here. The Admiral is in the house.
I'll tell you, is that Rodney Dangerfield?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
if he doesn't look like Rodney Dangerfield, I'm going to be so disappointed. I don't know what to say.
So you were saying about Ned Ryerson.
Ned is a person who is a character that is built for annoying. He is an annoying character. He's this person you see every day, and you're like, God, just get out of my way. Right. And what you start to realize is that Bill even figures out how to improve his day. Right. And it doesn't mean he wants to spend the rest of the evening with him, which was great when he goes, he's like, where are we going? And then Randy McDowell, who is not just a rube, who's all innocent and naive, pats him on the face and goes, let's not spoil it, and walks off with Bill. And I went, it's so great. But I love how, in a lot of ways, he almost takes on, the ominous, you dread him like the sound of Jaws, John Williams' score for Jaws, when you hear him coming and you're just thinking, oh no, Ned Ryerson's going to be there. Right.
Ned Ryerson. What's the high school they went to allegedly and all the stuff? And he's,
oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what it was.
And then guys, he's an insurance salesman. So he's just trying to sell Bill Murray insurance. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, poor guy. He's one of those poor people. He's so annoying and he doesn't know it and he means well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and he's they're the two guys that he meets, in I think the bowling alley or the bar. I'm not sure exactly where it was. Right. Where he goes, where he's talking to the guy and he goes, what if you had to do the same thing every single day and nothing you did ever mattered? And the guy goes, that about sums it up for me. And I freaking died. And those two guys, those two actors there, this is the other really beautiful thing about it it's the great tragedy of turning everybody that you meet into a political abstraction, to be honest, is that he walks into this diner. Everybody in that diner has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody that you see in this world, there was this really great quote that I've heard paraphrased, which was, be kind. Everybody you meet is fighting a secret battle you don't know, nothing about. It was an evolution of the original one, which was much more simple. And I think about it and I go, listen, I also believe in the quote that once somebody shows their true colors or shows who they really are, never forget. I think that's important too.
When someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Believe them. Believe them the first time. Yeah. And and I think that that what's beautiful though is that Bill Murray in a lot of ways is that person. He gets to see himself, and Andy McDowell believes him because of what he's shown. And he has to move mountains to get to the point to where she's capable of beginning to feel something for him. Right. And if their story continues, what's so beautiful about it is, and what I love about it so much is Groundhog Day is the day they fell in love. By the end of the story, Groundhog Day becomes the day they will talk about in the future of when they fell in love with each other.
Right.
And that's an incredible change from being the hellish day he can't escape.
Yeah. Yeah, the depth of this movie is quite astounding. It just, again, I've used the term life affirming with this movie. It really is. It really is such a great commentary and great self reflection on what does it mean to waste your days, to chase
Yeah.
the wrong things, and that's, dude, that is so easy for all of us. Because I thank my mom and dad the way I was raised. I wasn't allowed to watch pop culture media growing up. All these movies we talk about, the most movies I've ever seen in my life, I've seen in the last 2-3 years. Growing up, I saw the same dozen or so movies over and over, and they were all basically PG-13. I saw a couple R-rated, like stupid action movies.
Sure.
Most of the movies, I wasn't allowed to listen to popular music, none of that. And I'm glad I didn't get bathed in that postmodern negativity. You know what I mean? My wife and I, we talk about, she was raised the same way. She was not allowed to watch any of this stuff, not allowed to listen to the music, any of it. And you do feel very different from other people that are just like hypnotized by it for 30 years growing up. The attitudes and the ideas and some of the things they say are shocking to me. And I do feel like I come from a bit of a different culture. Some of the norms, some of the things they're okay with. So, and I'm not trying to say I'm better. It's just, it's very shocking to me to not have been bathed in negativity. I thank goodness that the media I was exposed to when I was young was uplifting and positive and heroic and things like that. So again, movies like this are a treasure. And I just want to keep making comics and stories like this that are uplifting and tell you that, you're going to have to work hard, but it's going to be okay. And life is worth it. Life is worth the struggle,
Yeah, I think, I think that's beautiful, Gabe. I mean, that's the thing for me. I actually had a bit of a different experience in terms of, certainly in terms of cultural, exposure. I was exposed to pretty much, everything, without, it was a lot. But what I think I'm always very grateful for, and I thank God for, is the fact that I had an internal compass to where when I saw things that had, the light in them, I moved towards them. Like I said, that makes more sense to me. And I don't know where that those things are kind of, mysteries or whatever else. But I look at things and I remember, when I'm doing artwork, when I'm working on Nosfero, or when I'm working on pinup, or I'm working on anything, I think about, the idea of like Andie MacDowell as a damsel in distress. There's so many cynical, anti-human framings of things that are all or nothing. I'm not even going to use the one because I can't stand the expression, but the idea that when women are described, they either have to be this one type of thing, which is incredibly grotesque, or they have to be this, everlasting virginal saint. And that the full compass of femininity and the woman is something that you're not exposed to, that the mother, the wife, the, friend, the partner, it's the lover, all of those various things. And the same thing goes with men too. Like the idea of painting men as men are either accommodating or they're brutes. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Because what it basically, someone asked me one time when I was in school, they said, well, what do you think about things like Twilight? My students loved to ask me questions like that. And I said, well, it strikes me as odd that Twilight, the way that it's presenting men and it's so popular at this point, is it's presenting you with either a virginal undead guy or an animal. Those are your two options. Yeah. And I remember thinking that, and granted, I think that's for the audience, that it's for. It's important to play those things out, and then I'm not lost at the idea of why that book works for people of a certain age and certain background. It's great. I grasp that, but it's a very interesting thing if you grow up in a world where you don't know how to appreciate the excellence of a guy like Bill Murray's character in this story, evolving and improving. If you don't appreciate the idea of the different choices you can make to move in the right direction. Right. And that's what we're here to do. Double Impact is very much about that, guys. We're talking about this stuff, but it's basically, these are all springboards for us to talk with you guys and share our passion and our positivity for this stuff, and for, that importance of guy flicks, but also the importance of flicks that are really about, how you go about being a good man in this world. Right. And that's the thing that's kind of that, because we're dealing in the business of heroism.
Right.
regardless
I
of
love
whether.
that quote from Walt Whitman, that one poem, and there's a line in it that says, I am large, I contain multitudes. I
Mm-hmm.
love that because it's like, okay, the guy's either a pushover or a brute. It's like, no, 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 no. It's way more sophisticated than that. You know,
Yeah.
there's a general direction, definitely on the compass of nobility, of stoicism, and this and that. But to be reductive, like you were saying, to reduce women down to their constituent parts, to reduce men down to just this pushover, this brute, I think it's horrible. You know, and
Yeah.
I think positive material, I think uplifting books, heroic books, it shows people, especially the young, it's so important. It shows them, hey, kid, this is possible. Did you know that Luke Skywalker was terrified, but he did
Mm-hmm.
it anyway? That's
Yeah.
so important to tell people. Did you know
Yeah.
Indiana Jones couldn't see the invisible bridge and he was stepping into a bottomless pit, but he
Yep.
took the step of faith anyway. And then you get older and you think, well, I got a scary situation. Can I be brave? And that's what's so important about this stuff. It's like you're modeling behavior for people. And again, sports come in that way too. And
Yeah.
it's no wonder we don't want to get too negative. The evil forces of leftist postmodernism. And I don't just, if you're a Democrat out there, I don't mean normal left wing people. You know what I mean. Cancel culture, the far, far insanity. It's no wonder they hate masculinity and sports and heroes and all that. They hate it all, first of all, because they're standards, and those standards are hard to work for. And secondarily, I think they do want to destroy it, maybe out of spite, out of resentment. I don't know. They want to destroy these institutions of art and sport and culture that make people great, that show people that can be great. And I think out of resentment, they want to destroy it. Do you think it's resentment, Sean, or what do you think is a lot of it there?
I think that we have to be active participants in the living of life. We have to take steps to make a living society. And we're the only organism in the world that it's not in our nature. Like, we don't have this all-encompassing genetic predisposition, because we're able to think very complicated, to preserve a good situation and to make things work over distance. There's no natural impulse. That's an intellectual impulse. And that intellectual impulse and the living of and the practicing of a good life is what gives you a rewarding sense. And if you have been turned away from it, or you haven't been forced to deal with that in your life, to understand how to go about living a life, it gets harder and harder. Although, as Jordan Peterson and many others have said, it is always possible to do something about it if you're willing to work. As Bill Murray shows in this movie, again, he's not a spring chicken in this movie.
Right.
And you look at this and you say, and so what happens is you're like someone who hate the game because you don't know how to begin playing it. And you get angrier and angrier at the game because you don't know how to take the steps to be able to participate in it. And if you took the time and if you did what you needed to do to be able to let's talk about something really horrifying that I remember learning, that is, I'm sure, like all things, it's possible but highly unlikely. They say if a child is unable to make friends by the age of 8, 9, or 10, it's highly unlikely they'll be able to do that ever. That's a very dark statistic, very dark statistic. And so what you see people enraged about is they have been told that a false narrative of how life works, but they've been told that if you do things this way, life's going to work. So they get angry at life because they've been misinformed on what the nature of life is.
Right.
And that's the whole thing about it. When people come to big realizations, they always say things like, that's not what life's about. I realized what life is about, like how you live life. And our heroes what's happening with our heroes is our heroes aren't reflecting the lie that they want everyone else to be trapped in like they are. So they're trying to make the heroes tell everybody else in the hopes that if everyone gets on their page, they'll finally be happy. And the fact is that no, they'll all be miserable. Right. Communism isn't everyone gets a mansion. Communism is everyone gets the same shack. When are people going to learn this? And that it's possible for you to be in a better place and get better at friendship, get better at love, romance, and learning about who you are, facing who you are, your own limitations, but also the places where you can grow forthrightly. And when you've been misinformed your entire life, and you've habituated the behavior of failing at life, and you're so certain, in spite of all the evidence, that it doesn't work, that you're right, that it becomes your religion, it is very hard to turn out of that tailspin, and it makes you incredibly resentful of other people who are succeeding because you don't know how they do it, and you're jealous and angry, and it's painful.
Yeah, and I think the culprit to this is fathers. It's a lack of fathers in Western culture, the demonization of men, the Homer Simpsonizing of us, as if we're all just farting and sticking 8 pounds of chicken wings in our mouth, as if we didn't invent space flight and the internet and laparoscopic surgery and modern art and like, come on, we invented most everything. Women invented some stuff, fine, but like we're not idiots. And I think destroying men, all the unfortunate, like broken homes, all the stuff. I love my dad, but my parents got divorced when I was 8. I think we had my 8th birthday, and then they divorced like a week or 2 later. We left, and I think when you have neglect like that, you don't think anyone loves you. And I went through this for years, and you don't think anyone could love you.
Yeah,
you are invalidated because your parents never validated you. So then you become a validation seeker. If I do the right thing, if I say the right thing, then I'll finally get my needs met and people will love me. That's how you get used. That's how you have no boundaries, and people just like, oh, here's this guy. He'll pay for everyone's dinner. He'll give everyone a ride. He'll do everyone's homework. That's how you get used. And I really see it coming from a lack of men. See, a lot of men in the modern age want to get mad at feminists and get mad at women. I would say, women will listen to good men. I don't care what kind of feminist they are. If you're a good, smart, capable man, your woman will listen to you. It's like you got to get your shit squared away as a man. Don't be looking at other people and blaming the feminists and all that. Like the feminism is a symptom of weak men. Hate to break that to you guys. But I think these people that you said, Sean, that they can't figure life out and they're resentful and they're narcissistic, it's because no one gave a shit about them when they were little.
Yeah.
I heard the great Dr. Drew describe psychologically what they call a narcissistic injury. And he compared it to physically. If you cut your hand off, God forbid, in an accident, could you think of much else that day? You couldn't think of anything else. It would be throbbing. You'd be upset at the loss of your ability to use your hand. And so it would be narcissism because you're just thinking about yourself. Now take that to the mental, spiritual. Your father's never there. You don't know him. He sends a letter every once or year. That's the same thing. It's an emotional injury that's so severe that you can't help but think of your pain day and night, and you don't know, it's subconscious. You become a narcissist, not in an arrogant, greedy, selfish way, but you only think of yourself and your pain, and you can't figure out why your parents wouldn't just validate you. So I think our calling as men is to be strong, to be hard, to never back down when it's the right thing. When it's the right thing to do, then you can't back down. You know what I mean? And I think it's our job to heal this society, to be the leaders and the men we're supposed to be.
Well, and I think this is the other thing too, right? You and I have both done one thing that's incredibly similar. We did not spend our entire lives just thinking about the men that we didn't have. We did, as that beautiful quote says, be the adult you needed when young. We decided to be that father in our house. That's the difference between a child's reaction to a situation and an adult's. Right. Which is, if you are over a certain age and you feel like you have never had a positive male role model in your life, it is time for you to become that role model you seek. That is it. And I've always said to people that I remember the first time I said this, and I've said this to you, I got to a certain point where I had my own frustration with that. And then I suddenly realized that I was always the man in my life. And he did a pretty good job, because when he was 12, he was raising a 12-year-old. When he was 15, he was raising a 15-year-old. The 15-year-old isn't that great at raising a 15-year-old, but he did pretty well considering he was so young. Right. And what I love about when I'm working on, Nosfero, and this is become out of the chat. I want to just don't show the campaign. I don't want to. This isn't a pitch. I want to just. This is important. What came into Nosfero is, and I think it was many people in the chat were saying, is there going to be a positive male role model figure in this? And originally, I was going to have sort of Nosfero be a little bit like, and I'm not into auteur theory. My book is not about me. It's not, what do you call it, self-insert. I hate that stuff. But it's, I wanted this character. I was like, how do I do this? And I thought, I'm going to have this werewolf character that's also imprisoned in this world become a father figure and be a noble guy and be an example, because he's strong, he's powerful, but he's not he's not evil. He's powerful. You could be frightened of him a little bit in many ways, like Aslan in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. When they said, is he safe? And they go, of course he's not safe. He's a lion, but he's good. And I thought, dang, you know, that's the stuff.
Right. Yeah, I love what Timmy Mello said here. I just saw a verse the other day. I forget what it is, but Christ saying that he's a father to the fatherless and, you know, a husband to the widow and, you know, father to the orphans and all that. So, yeah, but I think now that we're men, Shanth, we can't be staring in that rearview mirror and, oh, my dad this and blah, blah. Forget it. It's over, you know, whatever. I would say this, take it a step further. Thank God for the problem. Thank you for the problem. It made me stronger. It made me understand things better, how I could be a better husband, how I could be a better father. You know what I mean? So
that's how I look at it. We've got skills to pass on.
Right.
And with whatever time we've got left, if we can pass that knowledge on, we can tell people we've given enough attention. And listen, that does not mean you don't stand up to, you know, to evil by any stretch. But you also have to make sure that you are showing people, like when I wake up in the morning, first of all, thank God. No, when I wake up in the morning, I come downstairs. I come downstairs, get out of bed, come downstairs, center myself. Sometimes I pray. And I, depending on what point in the morning it's at, it can change. But I go straight to my desk and I start working. Now I do that for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is that I made a commitment to my backers that I am going to produce and deliver this book. I've done it twice before. I've done it both of those times, but that's never far from me. And why is that important? Because I'm also representing in a lot of ways Comicsgate. And I don't concern myself. This is not a conversation about what other people have or haven't. None of that stuff. I have no interest in that because as far as I'm concerned, the people that I've met in CG, I know how hard they're working. I know what they're doing, and I feel very comfortable. And that's all I have to say. But about my responsibility in this, I'm people who are hanging their, sticking their chin out or sticking their neck out, for this thing. I feel like I have a responsibility. And then there's the other thing, which, as you know, and you were having a wonderful conversation. If anybody missed the stream with Dale from earlier today on this channel, when we're done here, please go and watch it. It's great.
It was lovely.
But we don't have to do better, but we strive to do better. And that's an example we set. Yes. So when I sit down, I was in Texas in the home my mother-in-law was selling. She's moving. It's time from the house that she lived in for 40 years with my late father-in-law. And I was thinking about, while I was there, in addition to thinking about him and all of those great memories, I was thinking about my work. And I ordered some paper and trying a new process so that when I got back, I could improve Nosferatu, because it got to the point to where it was good and I could see how much better it could get. And I had reached the end of what I could do with what I had material-wise. And I wanted to raise the game. No one was asking me for that. And I also realized I wanted to work with materials that allowed me to be faster, because I realized that while I can get the book done on time, I want it to be better and I want it to be faster, because that's key to the impact that we're trying to make. There's no instance where being faster and better does not improve the chance for success. Yeah. And so all of those things are about striving for excellence. It's not about what the definition of insanity is, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's what Bill Murray does for the first probably year of repeat days.
Wow. I'm surprised it took that long for that to be said just now. That's amazing. I believe it was the great Lou Holtz. He was the coach of Notre Dame football. I believe it was Lombardi. The Super Bowl trophy is named after him. He said, in the pursuit of perfection, you will achieve excellence. It isn't about perfection, guys. No one's going to be perfect. Things can always be a little sharper. Forget perfection, but chase it. And when you chase it, you will achieve excellence. I want to say thank you to two people here really quick. Demon Eye says, the Dale stream was really great, Gabe.
It was.
Thank you very much. And then Angela Curry says, more streams with Gabe and Dale. Yeah, he said he'll come back and he'll look at the cover of me. I think I have a new friend there. He's a really, really fun, laid-back guy. Really cool. So, yeah, let's see. Oh, one more. Jesus would call his detractors shepherdless sheep. Many in this generation have never truly had the ability to define what's truly good and what's truly evil. I agree. Postmodernism has done so much harm to people with who's to say what's good and bad? It's like, okay, well, give me your wallet. I say that's good. Right. So now you know it's bad.
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty easy, you know. But you know, you can't define a woman though, Shantz, right? So
Yeah. You can't. Well, it's. This is the funny thing about it is that when we talk about the idea of those things that are mysterious in life, I love the old era where women used to say when and the women still do, I'm sure, say it, but when women are ladies and grow up in the culture of being a lady, they had this great slang expression that I never used to understand, which was leave a little mystery.
yes.
and and leaving a little mystery in whether in men or women, whatever we're talking about, is very important. And the idea that you want that the way to love something is to completely dissect it clinically until you like the worst thing about all the critical cultures, and it starts with art, is they try to over explain things that are just magic and they stop experiencing the magic.
Yes, I
It's
would
so
like to
tragic.
interject right here, and I'm
Mhm.
never going to back down from this, and I know I'm right. You go to college,
Yeah.
you're taking a literature class, and you're reading some great American novel or whatever, and then the teacher tells you what the author really meant.
Yes.
It's like, how in the F would you know that? You don't know this guy and
Mhm.
all your egghead nonsense and your degrees. And by the way, I have a
Mhm.
college degree. I graduated with honors. I got almost straight A's. I have very little respect for college. I hate to tell you that, Sean, because you're a
Oh,
professor.
I think I've got you beat, man. I sincerely do. I mean, I have stared like as I say, I've stared into the abyss, and then the abyss saw me staring back at it. No, but I tell you this, man. And this is something I'll share, and I'm not going to drop anybody's names, but I really do think that sometimes there's this feeling that you're getting helped by hidden hands, and I was thinking about my teaching career this week, and out of the
Mhm.
blue, a former colleague sent me a text saying, "Hey, how are things going?" Now, when I get how's things going from people who don't notice me any other time, I always assume things aren't going well there, but I don't go into that very much. And I said things are, and I'm always cautious about what I say to people, particularly if I know they're a part of this whole group thing,
Right.
but I'm cordial, and I said whatever, and they said, they said, how are things going? I said the book's going good, the kids are doing great, everybody's healthy here. Kind of kept my cards close to my chest, and they were saying, yeah, telling me various things going on, and then they said, I've got this great book that I think you would love, which, by the way, is one of those phrases that you hear a lot in these circles that I feel immediate
Mhm.
resistance to, because it's usually there's this book that you need to love. It's not that I
Right.
think you would love, because if someone hasn't talked to you in ages and they randomly tell you there's a book they think you would love, what that book is when revealed tells a lot about them and what they want you to think. And
Mhm.
so when I went off to college, one of the best things I got out of college was not from a teacher who worked there, but a teacher I saw on VHS, Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth, and learning about the hero's journey. And wouldn't you know it, the book that she showed me was a recent book titled The Heroine's Journey. And she said,
Right.
you would love this. And I was replying to the first text before I saw the photo of the cover she had sent me. And I wrote, nice. And when I saw the cover, I felt compelled to, and I was like, just let it go and move on with your life. And they said, no, I feel compelled to respond. And I'm going to
Uh-oh.
read you what I wrote because it was absolutely perfect. I said, oh, wow, just read the cover. Yeah, I can honestly say that from the moment I went off to college until the moment I left academia, I was living in that journey, the heroine's journey. And she wrote excitedly back, because people
Uh,
cannot tell. Like, this is how in the cult they are. She wrote, right? As if by the way, the hero's journey, in case anybody's wondering, was about men, women from all different cultures. It was not about just men.
right.
This is this whole thing. And she wrote, right? And I just wrote back, yep. Like, this is a way Homer. Maybe you'll get it. My wife goes, you were, that was crafty. But I said, yeah. Good night, Cranberry Langers. Great to see you. But can you imagine that? I was saying to myself from the second I got in there, you know, oh,
You
yeah,
you know
no.
you know who these academic, and I hate to pick on women, I don't mean to, but and it's not women, it's the men too, but whenever I think of what this person you just described, I always think of Lisa Simpson.
Mhm.
She was defiant, snotty, ungrateful, rebellious, and very full of herself about her knowledge,
Mhm.
and it was always disgusted me. I always had a little special, animus towards the Lisa Simpson, And we spoke about this here before. I think there's that great episode where Bart is on the football team and she's jealous because he's having fun. So she shows up at football practice in the helmet and pads, and she tells Flanders, the coach, I bet you didn't think a girl could play football. He's on, nah, not at all. He said, we got 3 other girls on the team. Come on. And then she's like, I don't want to play. And I feel like in academia, that's who these like postmodern feminists are. They just want to like stick it in your eye for who knows what reason. It's weird.
Like I said, I think this is the bigger concept there. The bigger concept there is if you are in a situation where you're allowed to take swings at people, but people aren't allowed to take swings back at you, you get away with things like that. You can walk up to somebody, and it's almost like a weird power move they do, where it's kind of like, don't you think that, it's all about women? And you're kind of like going, you're saying that to me. Like, you must know. And it's these really broken, beaten down men, which you were mentioning that you saw in the comic industry and that I saw in academia. They're everywhere in these circles, who look back and say, you're right. The best man I could be would be a woman like you.
Right.
Which is so bizarre.
They aspire to be a footstool for women or something.
I would put it this way. You've got one person walking up to someone who hates themselves and saying, would you like to hate yourself too? And they're like, yes. It's my wife and I are obviously, one's male, one's female, and we don't hate ourselves.
Nope.
And we, the us together, as I say, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I think it's very true. And this is the thing. When I'm hanging out with guys, I'm aware I'm hanging out with guys. When I'm hanging out with gals, I'm aware I'm hanging out with gals. If they were the same thing, there would be no point.
Right. And as the French say, vive la différence.
Exactly.
Long live the difference. The difference is beautiful. Women and men are absolute equals and completely different. And what I find in God's grand design, men and women are mirror images of each other. Really, that yin and yang, that it's really true. We see things exactly the same, but just reversed. It's really amazing. And there's a reason for it. We complement each other that way.
Well, here's the best plan in the universe, right? You got to love this. People stop if we don't get together. It's that simple.
Right.
By the way, and it's not just if we don't get together physically. If we don't collaborate together, it dies off shortly thereafter.
Right.
And it's the most incredible thing. This is the crazy thing that Bill Murray, how long did it take Bill Murray to master dying in Groundhog Day? It took him one shot, and then he did it over and over and over again. Right. Mastering, what is that famous quote? I forget who it was who said it, but trouble, life is trouble. Only death is no trouble. and the funniest thing about it is that this guy is dying. And so I always say to people that when it comes to the leftist ideology, I can sum it up simply. It's very simple. They're body positive unless we're talking about a penis and testicles or a uterus. Every other part of the body they love. And this is a very odd sort of thing to me because that is how we all got here. Yes. And so that's the great mystery that people lose, is that civilization is standing on the shoulders of giants. And so when you see Bill Murray killing himself in all these different ways, you realize like he gets up in the morning, and while we're doing it for artistic effect and all the silly things that he does, when we see where the audience kind of like lays back and laughs and cracks up is where he's killing himself. Where we lean forward is when he's trying to live. We're like, what does he do? Oh my gosh, he's repairing that. Look, he's going. I love, and by the way, this is my favorite thing. While he's being good on his way to divinity, he's not being a total saint. Because when he shows up to the piano teacher's house day after day and says, well, I have $1,000, and she throws that little girl out the door. Right.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fantastic.
I think that's part of the brilliance of this movie. It gives such a deep, life-affirming message, and they put enough humor in it that you could take a deep message without it being macabre, without it being depressing. Like when he commits suicide here by driving the truck off the cliff, that's terrible. But he takes the little Puxatawny Phil. He takes the groundhog with him. And I always thought that was unnecessary. The groundhog, he didn't want to die. And then as it was his name, Larry. Chris Elliott's name was Larry in this.
Larry. Yep.
Yeah, Larry and Rita, they stand at the top of the quarry where they see the explosion, and he has some quip that's sort of funny. So again, it's a little bit of sugar to help the medicine go down.
Well,
but I think it's really intentional, this movie, the thoughtfulness of how important it is to love.
Yeah, you're so right, man. He thinks the groundhog stuff is obviously bunk. It's got nothing to do with it. But when he gets to that point, he is so demented. He's really thinking, this groundhog has to be stopped. This groundhog is my problem. And he takes the groundhog out. Like, he starts directing his rage at various things.
At this rodent that weighs 6 pounds or whatever.
Pounds, exactly. And that's not the rodent who's the problem.
Right.
It's the rodent that needs to become a man.
This guy never did anything wrong. Look,
he never did anything wrong. I think he smiled at me. That's one of my favorite.
How dare you? How dare you?
You know?
Oh my God.
Punxsutawney Phil doesn't drive angry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a great movie. What a great movie.
It's a great movie, man.
Hold on. Let's see. We got a lot of comments here. So cute. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know what else I have to say about this movie. I've repeated myself a few times. I absolutely love it. If you got $3.99, you could rent it on Amazon Prime, give Jeff Bezos some more money. He's going to fly up in that unfortunately shaped rocket of his.
Yeah.
Have you seen his rocket, by the way?
Yes, I have.
I can show his rocket on YouTube, right? And that's not
you will get struck.
I'm not being funny. I'm being literal. So hold on.
My goodness.
Let me go look for this spaceship. When I saw it, I thought that this was a joke.
Yeah.
I thought it was like an Onion headline when I saw this originally. I'm going to have this without comment. What is Jeff Bezos trying to tell us with his spaceship here?
My goodness. Yeah.
You know, I may have brought this up on this show before, but hold on. I feel like, let's see. I'm going to Google something else that is just up the road from me, like an hour. And if you live in Southern California, if you live in San Diego and you drive to Disneyland, everyone sees this and laughs about the nuclear power plant.
Yep.
Everyone laughs about, and I don't know if it was on this show. I was talking to you about it. I was talking to someone. Could you imagine that you're an engineer and you're doing the technical drawings for the power plant and you put this on your boss's desk?
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what you're doing. I posit that he didn't do his assignment on time and he was making naughty sketches and he turned that in by accident to his boss.
Yeah, I do think that there are times when something went across more than one desk and somebody, yeah.
So I think Jeff Bezos' ship and the San Onofre power plant, same designer.
Exactly.
Same sense of humor. So
yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it was with Cecil. Yeah, there you go. Oh my God. Yeah. It is one of those things to where but it's so amazing to me when I see what we're able to do as artists and what we're able to do as individuals. And I think that's why we all know that there are things that are beyond our control. There are big things that can happen in the world. Anybody who studied history, all of that stuff. But that's actually not where we have any impact. That's not our point of concern. Our point of concern is in the here and now, what we can do with these physical bodies while we're here and alive. Doesn't mean you can stop that homeless guy in this movie from passing away at his, advanced age and with his experiences on that day. But maybe it does mean that you can help the people around you in small ways that make things better. And by the way, it doesn't mean that you can't feed that homeless man on his last day and make that last day something affirming and positive. Go out with a smile instead of go out in misery. And, to all of you guys out there who are working hard, and for all of you guys who are out there helping other people, and whatever you have, you're out there, and guys, listen, and I'm not trying to, how do I word this? Why I'm involved in Comicsgate, why I'm involved in CG is for a lot of reasons, but I for however much life I have left, I want to make sure I'm doing things that I think are important and are the right thing to do. And I think that America is an amazing country. I think American culture is important. And I think what we feed ourselves is culturally and spiritually is very important. And so when I see you guys backing these campaigns and supporting these incredible projects, I was just talking to Eric Weathers the other day, and his book Battle Brick Road, which is at the printers right now, going through all of the print delay stuff, but it's coming very, very soon, is almost to 6 figures. And I told him on his channel, yes, another 6-figure young lady campaign. If you have not backed Battle Brick Road, please, mods, someone throw that in the chat. But I said to him, I go, we're going to dedicate our show CG Team that's every Tuesday night. We're going to dedicate that show, a part of that show, to we're on the Battle Brick Road to 6 figures, Battle Brick Road to 100K. Because you want to talk about somebody who has lettered more books than you can shake a stick at, who has been contributing hard to this community of amazing creators, the syndicate, as some say, this cartel. We are almost to 95K, 1,700 backers. We are within spitting distance of 6 figures. Think of the message. Yeah, that's a beautiful Kenneth Rocafort cover. I say back early, back often.
Look, hold on.
Look at that Kenneth Rocafort cover. Scarecrow is the cat's pajamas, man.
So badass. Jeez.
Yeah, I backed that book with joy, man. It is.
Yeah, I was like you. I didn't know I hadn't backed it. I finally backed it, but I was just like, do. And then you realize you have it. You go check and like, oh, I haven't backed this one.
Yeah.
So I went and backed it.
And Eric said something really beautiful. He said something that I really appreciate. He's a very frugal guy. He's a very conscientious guy. His word is his bond. When he commits to projects, he's always working so hard on lettering books and trying to help as many people as he can. He's one of the hardest working people in Comicsgate. But he said, because of Comicsgate, we were able to buy a house. Because of Comicsgate, we were able to buy our first car. This is what this stuff does. When you guys, back Nosfero, it's going to brushes, it's going to paints, and it's going to this dream of ours that's not to take over the world, but just to make a beautiful place in it for our family. And when you look at this, look at how beautiful this work is. Eric is drawing this book. The next issue is even better. I think this work is beautiful, but he was showing us some of the roughs the other night after stream. And he's one of those guys where he's not going to let anything out until he's like, I've got to ship this book, then move on to the next one. Both him and Clint Stoker are very motivated in that way to take care of their backers. And the same thing goes with, Von Klaus with Terror in the Trenches. What a great group of guys. Rob Arnold, Rob the Replicator. But when I see this campaign on the verge of 6 figures, guys, I'm excited for my friend. I am excited for this success, and I'm excited for all of you guys. These are creators who are taking, in some cases, things from the Western canon, like The Wizard of Oz, but reinvigorated as, this action-adventure story with this really beautiful and complicated and rich lore. And then you see Terror in the Trenches, which is another character from the Western canon that's being reinvigorated.
Right.
We're doing stuff here that's important, whether it's pulp icons or genres like Truth, Justice, American Way with superhero genre. When you guys back this book, this stuff matters. This is us, not just voting with our wallets, but saying, I'm going to move towards the light. I'm going to take my hard work, labor in the form of the money that I earn, and I'm going to put it into these people's hard work and labor, because I feel like we're kindred spirits who are moving in the same direction, both in our lives, but also I want to support what they're doing with their imaginations. And Look at what the result is, guys. Yeah. Look at that result.
Yeah, Eric doesn't get enough credit. He's a fantastic designer, letterer, penciler, inker, writer. He doesn't color this, but I bet maybe he could color. I don't know if he does. My goodness, he's a quadruple threat, this guy. I like him. He's my kind of guy. I love these two comments here, but I'm going to put them out of order.
Sure.
Gunslinger says, Comicsgate should have never happened, but I'm glad it did.
Amen.
I'm going to take a screenshot of that. I love that.
Beautiful.
Wow. And then Dan Lawless says he's amazed at the pioneers of this movement. He doesn't think you would have had the same courage. Oh, come on, Dan. You played fullback in high school. You guys don't do thinking. You just hit people with your foreheads. You would have done it. Done it. But thank you for giving credit to the people that went first.
That's absolutely right. We do. Yeah. We have to give credit to them. And it was no small thing. And we all supported, whether it was doing intro videos or you doing colors or, all of our incredible backers. Who, as Ethan said when he launched Cyberfrog, he said, to Andrea, and he said to us in the chat, he goes, it's like a trust fall. I'm going to fall back and I'm going to count on these fans to catch me.
Yeah.
And we do, and you do for us, for Gabe and I, and for Gary Martin, and for David Williams, the amazing trio of creators who are working on Truth, Justice, American Way, and hopefully we'll also get a release of that inking book soon, because that's awesome news. We thank you guys so much for everything you do and for walking with us and having our backs, because it does take a weight off our shoulders to know that you guys are there and you guys are our investors, and that we don't have to answer to people who want to twist everything into this grotesque narrative. But we move towards the beauty with your strength lifting us up. So we thank you for that.
I think that's well said, man. And I think that's a good place to end it. I don't think we have anything else we could say about Groundhog Day that we haven't said. I mean, there's more to say, but I think
Last thing.
Go
watch it if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it.
Go watch it. It'll just make you feel so wonderful about life. What movie do we want to do next week? Oh my gosh, I know what I want to do. It's so obvious. It's so famous. Why don't we just do Rocky?
I'm there.
Yeah, I was thinking, I feel like I could do a little bit of a Stallone.
Can you do one, or?
I can't do a Stallone. That's outside of my wheelhouse.
You do a lot of great voices, though.
Yeah, I do. I do. See, Stallone, you do a great Stallone, and I'm never going to follow a great Stallone with a bad
My
Stallone.
wife's name is Adrian, by the way.
Sometimes life is perfect. I will tell you this, the last thing I got to say, because on the wife name thing, one of my other groomsmen, who was also Filipino from the Philippines, he's the biggest Superman fan in the world. So God bless him. But he's the biggest Superman fan in the world. And he said, he goes, when he met, he was the guy that he was like, had this idea of this girl. He's the most decent human being in the world. And we're like, dude, maybe you should just, find somebody. Finally met her, and he goes, I met the perfect girl. And her name is, and it was Lynette and then Lee. I can say it. There's a lot of Lees in this world. She'll be safe. He goes, her name's Lynette Lee. And I said, okay. And he goes, LL.
Lois
just
Lane.
Like a Superman gal. And I went, you're God. I said, are you kidding me, nerd? Bless him. Love that kid.
You guys are haven't seen Firefox, Dan, but it sounds like it has two words that sound exciting to me. So I'm not against seeing it. It's like, wait, fire, wild
Clint
animal,
Eastwood, and secret jets, and stealing one from the Soviets.
That sounds. You had me at Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be Rocky Balboa. Mm-hmm. Tune in next week. Maybe I'll say yo, Adrian, to my wife. You know what
That's
I mean?
Right.
But okay. Back Nosfero. The link is in the chat. Back me on Truth, Justice, American Way, guys.
Thank you.
Very exciting things happening with that. I can't tell you. But very exciting. Very exciting. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next Wednesday on Double Impact. Thank you for coming in.
Hail, brother.
All right. Bye, guys. And it says not yet. We're still don't start swearing.
It's a delayed reaction, guys.
I don't know what's happening. It's just spinning. Okay. It's